Tried not to take over the whole time.
I wasn't really there. I was going to be here last time. So it was a good idea coming up.
Everyone who is planning to speak tonight, if you would please sign in the back if you have not already done so, your name and address and contact info. Looks like everybody did that. Good to see you.
Not yet.
Nope, we got 3 minutes. You got 3 minutes.
I'm early.
Or 2 now, maybe. I think that was a little slow. Nope, 3 minutes. Hey, David. Oh, yeah. I would like to call to order the February 21st, 2023 public hearing of the Town of James Island Board of Zoning Appeals, also known as the BZA. For those of you who will, please put your phones on vibrate or silence as we start the meeting. For those of you who wish, please join us in the prayer, and after that, the Pledge of Allegiance. Father, we thank you for the opportunity to gather here tonight. We pray that this meeting is successful and productive. Please guide us during our discussions and give us wisdom concerning the issues we may face. We pray for the ability to work together in harmony for the welfare of the citizens, land, and natural resources of the town of James Island. In your most blessed name we pray, amen. This meeting has been noticed in compliance with the South Carolina Freedom of Information Act. 15 days prior to this hearing, a public hearing notice was printed in the Post and Courier, a sign was posted on the designated properties, and a notice was mailed to the applicant or representative property owner and to property owners within 300 feet of the applications and to parties of interest. Persons, organizations, and the news media that have requested declaration of our meeting have also been notified. The Freedom of Information Act does not require notification of anyone other than the applicant and parties of interest. The board members who will hear your cases tonight are myself, Brooke Lyon, I'm the chairperson, David Savage, vice chairperson, Roy Smith, Amy Fabry, and Corey Kipp. Staff members present tonight are our planning director, Ms. Kristen Crane, planner 2, Flannery Wood, our BZA attorney, Bo Wilson, Francis Simmons, secretary to the BZA and town clerk, Nikki Grimble, our town administrator, and I don't see any other folks. I do see Chris King, Deputy Chris King in the back, and he is the head of our town of James Island Island Patrol, and we're glad he's here tonight too. Board members, the minutes from the January 17th meeting is included in your packets. Are there any changes? If not, may I have a motion to approve and a second?
Well, before we go, not that it really matters, but I said roundabouts in England, not New England.
Oh, okay.
That's all. Sorry, that's all.
Oh, that's okay. So we do have a correction.
So I would like
if
to
we-
move to approve with that minor change.
Okay,
Second.
okay. So the motion is made by Roy Smith, seconded by David Savage. Any other discussion or corrections? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay, minutes are approved with the correction. roundabouts in England, not New England. That's pertinent.
It's just the
It's
truth.
important. Yes, thank you. At this time, I would like to explain to the public the workings of the BZA. The Board of Zoning Appeals is a quasi-judicial body established to interpret and grant relief from the zoning and land development regulations ordinance. The Board of Zoning Appeals has jurisdiction over 3 types of cases: appeals, variances, and special exceptions. Special exceptions are an exception issued by the BZA authorizing a particular use in a specified location within a zoning district upon demonstrating that such use complies with all the conditions and standards specified by the Town of James Island Zoning and Land Development Regulations Ordinance. Variances may be granted when strict application of the zoning ordinance would cause an unnecessary hardship. This board's actions must be based on specific standards as contained in the South Carolina Local Government Planning Enabling Act of 1994 and the Town of James Island Zoning and Land Development Regulations Ordinance. A simple majority vote of the quorum present is required to grant a variance and a special exception. It must be understood that the rules of your neighborhood or subdivision are binding, and we can take no action that will negate their jurisdiction over your property. Our purpose tonight is for interested parties to be heard in order to assist the board in gathering evidence pertinent to each case. If the members of the BZA feel the need for further information to clarify a case, the board has the authority to subpoena witnesses. In addition to your testimony, our board has been presented written information submitted to the staff by the applicant or their agent for each case. This information is now considered to be evidence and is entered into the permanent record of this body. It is assumed that it is complete, true, and accurate. Also, we have been presented data assembled by the staff for the purpose of clarifying the location and the effect on surrounding property. Our board is empowered to approve with conditions, or to deny your request. We are also authorized to defer a case should there be need to obtain additional information. If an applicant's request is disapproved and they wish to appeal the decision of this board concerning their case, appeals must be addressed to the circuit court. SC Code 629-29-820 states that the appeal must be filed by the applicant within 30 days after the decision of the board is mailed to them. Failure to file an appeal within the time limit deprives the court of the jurisdiction to hear the matter. Because this is a quasi-judicial body, everything said in this meeting must be complete, true, and accurate. All of the information provided to the BZA is considered evidence, and this board may certify contempt of circuit court if false statements are made, either in writing or orally. Because of this, each person who wishes to address the board will be sworn in. In order to expedite the procedure, I would ask all of you wishing to speak tonight, if you would please stand as a group, and Mr. Wilson will administer the oath at this time to anyone who wishes to speak.
Please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Thank you.
I shall now call each case by file number. Staff will present facts pertinent to the case with unlimited time. I will then call the applicant to address the case. The applicant is limited to 10 minutes. The applicant at the time will please state their name and current address for the record before presenting testimony. I will then ask all of those speaking in support of the case that are present here to stand one by one, state your name and address for the record, and then you're limited to 2 minutes each. Are we doing Zoom tonight? I don't think we are. Okay. I will then ask all those speaking in opposition and are present at town hall to do the same. The applicant will then have a chance to reply to any opposition. You will have an additional 2 minutes, and then the BZA will make a motion to close the case to the public. Finally, the BZA will make a motion concerning the application, stating specific findings of fact and conclusions of law. Tonight, we will hear one special exception request and one variance request. And these requests must meet all of the criteria of the ordinance. And after we hear the cases, we have a lot of additional business to discuss, so we will all stick around for that as well. So at this time, I will turn it over to Kristen Crane, and if you would please start us off.
All right. In this case, the BZA 123 of. The applicant, Mr. James Cuba, is requesting a variance for the placement of an 8x12 of existing accessory structure in the front street side setback of a residential lot in the Linden City Suburban Residential District, which is part itself, at 917 Ravenswood Drive. Adjacent properties to the northeast, south, and west, are also in the RSL zoning district and are in the town of Jamestown's jurisdiction. The subject property contains one single-family home that was constructed in 1966 for Carlson County records. The current property owners purchased the property in October of 2020. The property owner placed the shed in its current location in December of 2021. Due to the size of the accessory structure, which is 96 square feet, no building or zoning permits were required. The town of Jamestown Code Enforcement spoke with the applicant in the spring to summer of 2022 after receiving a complaint. In November 2022, the homeowner began the process to apply for variance. Recent survey dated June 22nd, 2022 shows the shed being 13.2 feet from the front and street side property line. Pictures of the shed on the left. Here is a view looking down the line of the front of the shed and looking over to the adjacent property of the building that's projecting out. Adjacent property. Three. And looking up and down Ravenswood Drive. According to section 153.049F, the board has the authority to hear and decide appeals to the zoning variance. The strict application of the provisions of this ordinance will result in unnecessary hardship. A zoning variance may be granted in an individual case of unnecessary hardship if the board makes and explains in writing the following findings. A, there are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to this particular piece of property. There may be extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to this piece of property due to it being a corner lot with an irregular shape and non-conforming side. Additionally, as the applicant's letter of intent states, due to the shape and narrowness of this lot combined with having two street side setbacks, as well as the pre-existing pool deck, fence line, and raised planting area, we are requesting a reduction in the required 25-foot front setback by 11.8 feet to 13.2 feet to allow for the shed to remain in the already established footprint of the existing raised area. B, these conditions do not generally apply to other property in the vicinity. The conditions pertaining to the existing site design of the subject property, including the shape and narrowness of the lot, two street side setback, the pre-existing pool deck, fence line, and raised planting area, do not generally apply in a combined fashion to other property in the vicinity as they do to the subject property. C, because of these conditions, the application of this ordinance to the particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict the utilization of the property. The application of this ordinance 153.070C to the subject property would prohibit the accessory structure from remaining in its existing location. The authorization of the variance will not be a substantial detriment to adjacent property or to the public good, and the character of the zoning district will not be harmed by the granting of the variance. The authorization of the variance should not be a substantial detriment to the adjacent property or to the public good, and the character of the zoning district should not be harmed by the granting of the variance. In the letter of intent, the applicant states that the location of the shed does not interfere with any public services or prohibit access as needed. In addition, the accessory structure does not hinder any sight lines for vehicles or pedestrians. D, The Board of Zoning Appeals shall not grant a variance to the effect of which would be to allow the establishment of a use not otherwise permitted in a zoning district to extend physically a non-conforming use of land or change the zoning district boundary shown on the official zoning map. The variance does not allow a use that is not permitted in the zoning district, nor does it extend physically a non-conforming use of land or change the zoning district boundaries. F, the need for the variance is not the result of the applicant's own actions. The need for the variance may not be the result of the applicant's own actions as the full events or existing site conditions prior to the applicant's purchase of the property. The shape and narrowness of the lot are also existing conditions. Additionally, there was no required review of the site plan because the accessory structure does not require permitting due to its small size. G, granting of the variance does not substantially conflict with the comprehensive plan or the purposes of this ordinance. The granting of the variance may not substantially conflict with the comprehensive plan or the purposes of this ordinance, as the purpose of the ordinance in question is to maintain site lanes on corner lots. The accessory structure in question does not conflict with on the roadway or any adjacent property. The board may approve with condition, or deny this case based on findings of fact unless additional information is deemed necessary to make compliance.
Thank you, Ms. Crane. Are there any questions for Ms. Crane? Board members?
Can you see the overhead with the pool and the fence again? Yeah. The aerial.
Yeah, I think you had,
Yeah.
yeah. So. If it was in the backyard. It wouldn't meet the setbacks. Requirement either, on the other side of the fence.
I have to look back here and see. Probably not, for the being on that from the line.
Even if they were within the fence,
I think the fence on the other side is also in the setback. But you're asking.
I think it's confusing because it's such an awkward shape. So the shed is right there. It's like
The
at
shed
4
is-
o'clock.
Yeah, on the front of part. So it's on the other side of the fence.
So it looks like the front setback on the other street side goes to approximately the corner of the house.
Is
28.
is a setback 25 feet on that street as well. So that other shed is probably closer. Or about 25 feet.
Yeah, there's not a measurement here. It looks like it's.
There's not a measurement from the street on that shed.
Probably.
But it's currently over 13.
Let's see.
13.2.
14.2.
Well, that's not the shed in
We
question.
do have 2 sheds. Yeah, there's 2 sheds.
It's this shed.
Yeah. Just the other shed, not the one on Birchdale.
So did you measure by chance where 25, I mean, would 25 feet be like at the pool?
Let's see.
It would be, if there's a 25-foot measurement. It goes right to the front of your porch.
Can I ask a question, just as devil's advocate? If the shed were within 25 feet and were in front of the setback, would it matter the way that it looks? If there was a concern on this,
I don't think it really looks. I mean, that's
really the only problem is that it's.
right. And we actually have a contextual setback rule that I put in the staff review. I didn't read it. But it's an exception to front setbacks in which if the building adjacent on the adjacent lot, you can project as close to that building line. So we measured the adjacent lots building, how close they were to the front. And the difference is 16 inches between, this one's closer by 16 inches to the neighboring, excuse me, building. So really, it could be 16 inches back and meet that rule.
You said it all the time? Or which criteria?
It's, if you look on the front page, in the middle of the number 2, where it says
Okay.
excellent acts.
I can read it, thank you.
So we have a rule that's, but you're building up close, as close as the neighboring building is.
So then it becomes 16 inches and not 11 feet.
Right.
Interesting.
So if you applied that rule, it would be 16 inches instead of
16 inches is half, I think.
the 13.2 feet.
That would be the request.
Any other questions from Ms. Crane?
This may be, it's own foundation. It's a concrete foundation.
Yeah, I'm not. I can't tell.
I'll ask them what they
It
say.
didn't require building permits, so we didn't.
Mr. Savage, did you have a question?
I did. Ms. Crane on staff recommendation FC. Because of these conditions, the application of this ordinance to a particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict the utilization of the property. As I understand it, it was bought in October of 2020, correct?
Yes.
And it was utilized as a single family residence?
Yes.
And the applicant decided on the size, shape, and placement of the shed when they put it on this property, right? And if the shed is removed, it will not prohibit the use of the property as a single family residence. Right?
No.
Those are all my questions.
Thank you. Any other questions? Oh. Well, thank you, Ms. Crane. At this time, I would like to call the applicant to please come up and present your case. You have 10 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening, board members. My name is James Kiva. I'm at 917 Ravenswood Drive in the town of James Island. I'm presenting this case for our shed because it has some pool supplies as it is next to the pool. The concrete that is passed towards the street side, that is all structural with the pool is original for the construction of the house. In addition, there's a question on the foundation. It is on a pressure treated wood structure that it has hurricane strapping 4 foot to the ground to prevent it from moving. And high winds or any of that stuff. That was, excuse me, designed by the manufacturer. As noted, we said it is going to limit our use because we do not have a lot of storage in the house. We do have another shed on the other side that is currently in disrepair because of the rain and rot and the age of it that will also need to be replaced. So we ask you guys to approve it. In addition, the raised bed that is on where the shed was, there was 2 25-year-old palm trees that were removed for safety for the adjacent property and for our property. So it left a hole, and we thought, as far as that, really, that's why we waited to install a shed at the time we did. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you very much. If you would please stand up here and we may have some questions for you. And if you'll answer them into the mic. Thank you. So Ms. Francis can take good minutes. Any questions for the applicant?
I'd like to talk about the foundation for a minute. You said it was pressure treated wood, but it cannot easily be taken apart and moved. That you could not decide to move this structure, the 13 inches or the 11 feet or whatever we deem the number.
It would be a considerable cost for it to move the way it's installed, and there's rods that go down 4 foot into the ground and then it's strapped to it.
Okay, so to use the same structure on that foundation and move it. tell me about your garage. I'm just curious, do you have a garage?
It's where the yellow car is, it is a single garage. It is basically, my father-in-law had a house before, it was turned into a workshop.
Okay,
And that's where our hot water heater is, so there's very limited space in there.
and that would be considered the only other type of storage that you have for your lawnmower, your electrical
Yeah.
equipment, your pool equipment, your rafts, your
Yes,
pouring, all your things. You take care of your own pool.
yes, it is.
Okay, so you do need a place to put all that. That's it. Okay, thank you.
Questions?
Do you know where the things that are stored in that building, like pool chemicals or what, where were they stored before the building was built?
There was a small structure on the other side of the fence, near where the filter is. For the pool.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I have,
That's enough. Go ahead.
um. Thank you, Mr. Kuba. So this property was brought from your father-in-law, so you knew the footprint. You knew the footprint of the house, right?
That is correct.
It appears that we're here because someone had made a complaint. And have you had a chance to read Mr. Pepin's submission?
No, I don't.
Excuse me, could you speak up, please, Mr.
Sure.
Savage? Thank you. Please
Um,
speak into the mic and
Sure.
so we can hear you.
Yeah, I drove in this neighborhood and I haven't seen any structure at the front of the house similar to this. Are you aware of any?
Yes, the adjacent property on the other side of Foxcroft have a structure as well.
What kind of structure?
It's a wooden shed.
Okay, was it within the setback though?
Yes,
Well, I guess what I'm saying is there's no other properties out there that has a structure like this within that setback, correct?
other than Foxcroft. Across the street from my house.
When you decided to put that structure there, and the reason I'm asking this, it appears that a neighbor and the one that's immediately adjacent to you had a complaint about it. Did you ever speak to them and let them know, hey, look, I'm planning on putting this in here?
We did not have that conversation.
Okay. And I'm looking at the picture of your house and I'm just wondering about the decision to select that kind of shed. First of all, that material, the material of that shed is nowhere similar to any of the materials on your house, is it?
It is not.
The coloration is different, right?
It is, but we are planning on repainting the entire property as well.
We have a problem with carpenter bees, so that's why we went with that material.
Thank you.
Excuse me, you're,
And I'm looking at the, I'm just looking at the architectural style of that shed, and it doesn't appear to blend in at all with your home. What was it that made you decide to get that type of shed?
That was decided on us reworking the front porch. That we had the columns squared off and had to change that as well. So it's in with the structure overall.
What fits in? The shed?
Yes,
It fits in with what aspect of your house? I'm looking at the picture of the house here.
the current picture, the porch is redesigned with square columns and natural wood.
And I go back to criteria C. And as the applicant, and in this case, this isn't the case of someone that seeks a variance before a structure is built. You built a structure. Someone complained and now you're seeking a variance, right?
Correct.
And one of the criteria that you as the applicant have to satisfy by the burden of persuasion to everybody on the board would be criteria C. So because of these conditions, the application of this ordinance to a particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict the utilization of the property. If the shed is removed, you can still utilize the property in the same manner in which you bought it, which is a single family residence, correct?
That is correct.
I'm looking at the dimensions of the schematic that you have of your house that shows the pool footprint and it shows the shed. And while I am not an architect, I think some of us on the board are, it seems like if you would flip that shed right over, it would fit,
It's about, yeah.
it would fit in the pool area. The only disadvantage is it may not be as aesthetically pleasing. Well,
you know,
Based on the foundation
Kick
of
out
the
some
shed, it is 16 inches higher. So if we were to put it on the cement deck, we wouldn't have room to get around the shed to get in near the pool, as well as it would be higher than the current cement deck.
well, you can always put skirting or something around to make up the difference in elevation.
Possibly.
The next criteria that I'm having to wrestle with would be the need for the variance is not the fault of the applicant's own actions. And the fact of the matter is, had you not built this, you wouldn't be seeking a variance.
I was under the understanding that it was below the square footage for needing a permit, so, and with removal of palm trees, we put it there.
But I understand your answer, but for permits to erect something, you can erect whatever you need with or without permit. But still, you have to place it in the proper location. In other words, you can't be violating various setbacks on the property. That's what's dinging you here. You decided to place this within one of the setbacks. It's not that you needed a permit. So what I'm getting at is that decision that you made to place it. It was your action in the placement that brings you here now seeking a variance.
I understand.
I'd really like to know if Mr. Pepin is here.
Who wrote the
Yes,
letter?
and the
Larry,
reason that
could
I
you
asked that.
check the sign-in sheet back here.
He's here.
Is he here? Okay, he's raising his hand. He is here.
And the reason that I asked this question is the board can approve or deny, or it can approve with certain recommendations. And it seems like there might be an opportunity if the only person that appears to object for you and me to possibly get together and see if there might be some solution that is suitable for everyone, because that might be important information for we as the board, because if I understand your testimony, there are at least two criteria that there may be some question as to whether or not you meet that.
Yes.
Those are all the questions I have.
Thank you, Mr. Savage. Could the lady who spoke out please come up front? And I assume you're Mrs. Kuba?
I am.
Okay, I would ask everyone, please not shout out from the audience. Thank you, though. I understand you're passionate about your case, and that way you can help field questions if anyone else has anything as well.
If I could, add,
Y'all have already had your presentation. I'm sorry, but the questioning, I think, if any board members, I think Mr. Savage may have something else.
Yeah, if I understand I call it the shed, the accessory building. There's no door facing the street. There appears to be no door on the right, no door on the left, and your fence goes right up to both corners of the shed. So I take it that the shed opens into the enclosed pool area, right?
It has a garage door that slides up, but yes, that's good.
Now, I understand some of your testimony. I have a pool. I know about chemicals and floats and water wings and all of that thing. And I'm gonna ask you a real specific question. Are y'all using that as a little party hut? In other words, you roll up the door and you got a little bar in there, it just gives you additional entertainment area.
There is no bar,
Okay, but
but we do have a table and some chairs for garage shade because of limited space on it.
okay, so y'all are kind of using it as an entertainment area.
And storage.
Understood that. I think those are all of my questions.
Okay, and any other questions, Mrs. Fabry?
I just wanted to ask, you said that the shed that's currently on the site, the old one that you inherited with the house, is in disrepair. It seems to be the exact same size, if not slightly larger than the new one you installed. Is there any reason why you didn't take that one down and put the pool shed there?
That houses, the lawn equipment, the generators, the, lawnmower, trimmer that I don't have room in the garage to store any of that stuff.
Okay. Is there a reason why you didn't put it on the inside of the fence in that corner?
There's palm trees. With the on the
inside of
neighboring
fence?
the shared neighbor side, there's palm trees there. And if we put it in on the concrete deck, there wouldn't be enough room to walk around.
I'm talking about like if you just bumped it on the other side of the fence and moved it to your right, like closer to the house.
There's a
Seems
gate
like there's a corner.
There's
right
a
there.
gate.
to the right of the shed. And the pool filter is also to the right of the gate.
So is it out on the concrete? Okay.
In the overhead, it looks like there's a space in that corner, but that corner is taken up by the pool filter as well as the gate.
And the shed company who installed it told us that it should be fine there because we did ask. We were concerned, is this okay? And he said, oh yeah, you're fine there. I'm like, even if it's a second shed, and he's like, yeah, you're good. And he lives on James Island, so we trusted that he knew his business.
Is there a reason why the pool filter wouldn't fit in the shed if it were in that corner along with your equipment?
It's in the concrete. It's installed and the poles in the concrete and all the irrigation goes,
It's plumbed through the concrete deck into.
Right, and I have the same thing, and in our shed, we have a shed over where all the irrigation equipment, the filter is, and we also keep all of our chemicals and stuff in there. But it's inside the fence of our property.
That would be a financial burden on us to move the pool filter. We did look at that. Well,
I don't think you're understanding me. I'm saying you could put the pool shed around the pool filter.
it wouldn't.
Unless you have a,
It wouldn't fit. There's a roof line sticking out that there was a bar built there previously before we bought it. So there's already a structure on the other side of the pool filter.
okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
I don't really have a question, but I'd like to say that I'm sorry that you believe this fellow who told you the wrong thing. And I wish that you had come and have someone on staff.
We agree.
I'm sorry that happened to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I have a neighbor who's kind of going through the same thing, you know, she is in a cul-de-sac lot and it's, you know, she wants to be sure. She's not required to have a permit, but she wants to be sure everything's kosher as far as setbacks and that kind of thing. Just to avoid an unfortunate situation like this, so I do not have any questions for you. I think everyone has pretty much asked good questions and so thank you all. And at this time, y'all will be seated. We'll ask for folks to speak in support and opposition of the request. And if anyone speaks in opposition, then y'all will have 2 minutes to come back up and rebut.
thank you.
Thank you both. So at this time, is there anyone present who wishes to speak in support of the Kuba's request? Okay, I will say we got 2 letters in support of their request. And those are part of the permanent record. At this time, is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the request? I guess, sir, if you would please come up and state your name and address and speak clearly into the mic so we can hear.
Okay.
Thank
My name
you.
is Paul Pecken. I live directly adjacent to the left of the property. Our address is actually off Foxcroft Road, 1001. I only speak in opposition, given that now I want to say to begin with.
If you could speak up,
Sure.
speak to us.
Yeah, I just want
Thanks.
to say to begin with the Jim and Jan, we've had a great relationship with them. And also their parents who lived there before them, and really enjoyed getting to know them and their company. The reason for the opposition is, as you stated, the position, the proximity to the streets, and also the architectural design of the shed. So with that in opposition, the solutions from my standpoint, I'm not an architect, but I'm a licensed professional engineer. I would like to see either the architectural design changed, or the fence line changed to incorporate it within the backyard. Or of course, a relocation, given that it is a pre-manufactured building. So that's basically the extent of my contributions.
Thank you very
Sure.
much. And I believe we had one letter against, but I believe that was yours.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, okay. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in opposition of this request?
So if you're facing the house to the left.
Okay.
Yeah.
If,
The one that sits on the corner.
I think, are we trying to clarify where he
I
lives?
just wanted to clarify that they put that for me.
So if we're facing the house, he's right to the left.
Correct.
That's right, yeah.
Okay,
Similar town with the laws.
you're right next, basically right next to the fence, so, I mean, to the shed, got it. Just want to be sure everybody is on the same page. If, now, if the Cougars would please come back up, you have 2 minutes to rebut the opposition, if you would like to take it.
This is more for the record.
Okay.
That I spoke incorrectly when I was talking about the shed on Foxcroft. It's actually across the right street, which is Birchdale, that there's a shed right on Ravenwood. So I just wanted to clarify that I was mistaken when I said that it was not Foxcroft, but it's actually Birchdale.
Okay, thank you for
Thank you.
correcting that. Did you have any rebuttal?
I do not. I hope we work with other homeowners
Okay,
to resolve this if we need to. Thank
okay,
you.
thank you, sir. So at this time, I close the hearing to the public. I will make a motion to approve the variance for the purpose of discussion. If I could have a second, and it is seconded by Mr. Savage. So we have a motion to approve with a second for discussion. So now we can open it up for discussion.
Yeah, as we're discussing this, this does not appear to be a very contentious issue. And the person that opposed, when I'm listening to them, is saying, hey, there's some solutions here. My difficulty is there hasn't been any discussion. They appear to be reasonable people. I don't know if it's continued, tabled, or what it is to allow these people to talk to see if there's something that can be worked out. Because if it is put to a vote right here, I think there are two criteria that we're not satisfied, and that would be a denial. I think part of the BZA is always to maintain friendly neighborhood relations where possible, and Amy seems to be thinking that the gentleman has presented a very reasonable solution as well, and maybe our attorney will tell us how we can do this to give them a little bit of time, figure out if there's a solution that everybody can live with.
I think you could, I guess we call it, table it, carry it over to the next time. I hear the complainant talk about design, but we hear about setbacks. But the complaining party obviously didn't address a problem with the setbacks. So it does seem like a good opportunity to do what you suggest and just table it and carry it over to the next time. That would give them at least a month to come to some compromise on the design that might be satisfactory.
As I understood it, if you simply flip that shed over the.
No, that really won't work, David.
Okay,
But
never mind, not a
there
problem.
are other locations, okay? So
Ah,
the blue line's at 25 feet, the red is just another place. We can move that thing around all over, right? But it's the same size as the
I would be
shed.
inclined to make that
So-
a condition if there was going to be an approval of variance that would be inside that. fence.
The fence is fence is further out. The little blue line is 25 feet back, and that's another rectangle that's the same size as the shed that was pushed around to put
I'm
it
just kind of
wherever.
laying my cards on the table as to how
Sure.
I'm thinking on this.
Right.
The issue with flipping it is access to the interior. And because it's like the garage door, you have to assume that the other side of the shed is outside the fence as well, so that the only thing inside. the
Well-
yard is the
Well,
Garage door.
that raises another issue.
And I assume the applicant would agree to the carrying over if asked. If he wants to press for a decision now, I guess he could.
Who presents that?
The applicant could ask.
So, Mr. Kuba, I think if you would come back up here for a moment, we are in the middle of discussion.
Yes.
I'm considering withdrawing my motion if Mr. Savage withdraws his second. And there seems to be a consensus that we would potentially vote to table this to a future time to see if you could work something out with your neighbors and perhaps come into compliance, because it sounds like some of us have concerns about you meeting the criteria tonight, which would be a denial. And you would need to do that anyway, or take it down or do something. It's,
Yeah, but you have the right to insist on
Yes.
on an outcome tonight.
I think we can table it and have discussion with the property next to us.
okay, great. You both seem very reasonable, and he's given a thumbs up back there. So that is great. So with that, I will withdraw my motion if Mr. Savage withdraws the second. And if you want to sit back down now, that would be fine. Thank you for coming back up. We're a little out of order
So
here.
then I just have a question in the
Yes.
discussion part, if we do table it, did they come back before the board and say, hey, we decided to plant palm trees to hide the structure, or we decided to do X, Y, Z?
I think it depends on what they do. If they change it and they don't need the variance, they don't need to come back, I'm assuming, and it would just go away, right? Right, Bud? They would withdraw their
Man,
application,
how do you do that now that it's in
Yeah.
here?
but
No, it's going to come back. It's going to have to come back
Either
for
way.
some sort, yeah.
Okay.
for some
So
sort
they'll
of-
just come back with what they decide to do to make it right.
But you are still voting, you're technically voting
On the
on the
setback area.
setbacks. But you're just having the complaining party withdraw the complaint.
Right.
So you could then,
Setbacks, so
you could then just say you give them the variance on the setback. If you're satisfied that the complaining party is happy with the outcome.
And that
you
they
could just
meet the
pass it.
criteria.
But
Yeah.
then you also look at Kristen's footnote, or, her point in there to the 13 inches versus the 11 feet, which is 16 inches.
Yeah, the criteria are still there, but if you don't have a complaining party,
But it's not quite so bad if you look at the setback,
it's up.
153.6.
If it's a 13-inch issue, you may just think it's insignificant. It's insignificant enough to warrant denial, I guess is the way to put it.
so I will make a motion that we table the case until
It's 10.
a future meeting. The applicant, I assume, will get with Kristen. Is there a second?
Yeah.
Okay. Motion made to table the case, seconded by Ms. Fabry. Any more discussion on tabling it? And give the applicant a chance to work it out with the complaining neighbor and perhaps even come into compliance or closer to it, to where they could meet the criteria set forth. Any other comments, questions while we're in discussion? If not, I'll ask Ms. Simmons to do a roll call vote for us, please.
Commissioner Fryland.
Aye.
Commissioner Young. Aye. Vice Chair Savage.
Aye.
Commissioner Smith.
Aye.
Chairwoman Martin.
Aye. So the motion carries unanimously. And we will look forward to seeing you at a future time. If you would just get with Ms. Crane, and she can answer any questions or maybe help y'all figure out a way to work things out. We will now hear case number BZAS 1-23-027. Kristen Crane, if you would please give us the staff review on this case.
Excuse me, Edge Enterprises LLC is seeking a special exception for a fast food restaurant in the community commercial zone district. In the commercial floor of the Poly Road Corridor Overlay Zone District. 889 Poly Road is 0.53 acres in size and is currently being utilized as a self-service automatic car wash. Island Car Wash, which has been in operation since 1987. The current use is considered legal and non-conforming. Adjacent property to the northeast and south between the town of James Island and its own CP. And the adjacent parcels to the west are zoned RSL and also in town. Additional uses within the community include convenience stores and service stations, general restaurant, storage, drugstore, garden supply center, and parcels in the town that are zoned RSL. The applicant is seeking to utilize the property for the operation of Jimmy John's Quick Service Sandwich Restaurant. The letter of intent describes a family-owned local small business and states that the project seeks to continue to improve quality road and not have any negative impact on the surrounding area. Our building will be designed to enhance the island's low country experience and continue to increase pedestrian friendly traffic. We want to make Poly Road more desirable, explorable, and walkable. As our Jimmy John's, we will be the owner operators of our store and meeting store on a day-to-day basis to make fresh lunches free and fast. Island Car Wash Incorporated of Carlson is the current owner of the subject parcel, and the lot itself is considered equal. Site plan. Picture. Rear. Properties. On the left is the residential parcel to the west. And then to the east across the street, Chambers. And then down Hollywood. According to section 153.045E, special exceptions may be approved only if the board finds that the proposed use A is consistent with the recommendations contained in the Town of James Island Comprehensive Plan and the character of the underlying zoning district, purpose and intent. The Town of James Island Comprehensive Plan economic development elements its strategy as encouraging a variety of diverse commercial uses that will benefit the town as a whole. The applicant states in their letter of intent that they intend to bring additional business to the island, as well as promote the employment of residents and locals, and want to invest back into the surrounding community and focus on sponsorship and involvement in local schools, charities, and other businesses. Furthermore, the economic development element goal is to encourage redevelopment to improve current aesthetics and diversity of amenities in the town's commercial area. As the applicant notes in their letter of intent, the current plan aims to help with the diversity of Poly Road by replacing the existing car wash, which there are currently 6 of within 2 miles. This will be the only gravity metal pass through the single truck on the south side of the connector on Poly Road. B is compatible with existing uses in the vicinity and will not adversely affect the general welfare or character of the immediate community. Nearby properties have a wide range of existing uses, including convenience store, service station, vehicle service, restaurant, general, florist, drugstore, banks, and garden supply centers. In addition, the applicant's letter of intent states our local family run Jimmy John's will bring a much needed sandwich shop to Polly Road. Therefore, the use may be compatible with most of the existing uses in the vicinity and should not affect the general welfare character of the immediate community. C, adequate provision is made for such items as setbacks, buffering, including fences and or landscaping, to protect adjacent properties from the possible adverse influence of the proposed use, such as noise, vibration, dust, glare, odor, traffic congestion, and similar factors. A comprehensive landscaping and site plan is required during the site plan review process to address supplemental buffering, fencing requirements, parking, lighting, and setbacks. Applicants have presented a site plan showing required landscape buffering, and in their letter of intent state that the site plan has been designed to address all provisions for items in section C, including appropriate setbacks, buffering, and landscaping. We believe that nature and drainage are important, and we'll put together a landscape plan that promotes the feel of the island while bringing additional greenery to a currently bare lot. There is currently limited landscaping and no trees on the property with significant concrete. Our plan will improve and increase the level of landscaping and trees on the property by adding additional plantings. We plan to work to ensure that the building does not provide any undue glare by choosing the proper building materials. Noise will not impact the surrounding community as we will fix the property order box in a manner that projects any sound away from any residential areas. Our sandwich processing with no exhaust ovens or hoods, no untouched line order will be released from our building. Dust and vibration will also not occur, as we do not have any processes that will facilitate those factors. Additionally, all applicants are required to meet town ordinances concerning any factors mentioned in the criteria. D, where applicable, will be developed in a way that will preserve and incorporate any important natural features. The parcel currently hosts a self-service car wash that, according to the letter of intent, has limited landscaping and no trees on the property with significant concrete. Therefore, there are no important natural features on site that will be impacted. Landscaping and vegetation will be incorporated for requirements in the town zoning regulations. E, complies with all applicable regulations, laws, and standards of this ordinance, including but not limited to any conditions, zoning district standards, or site plan review requirements of this ordinance. The applicant is in the process to ensure compliance with the applicable regulations. And F, vehicular traffic and pedestrian movement on adjacent roads shall not be hindered or endangered. The applicant's letter of intent states that, as shown in our site plan, we will utilize the right turn only traffic lane as to not hinder movement in and out of our location. We have created a plan that indicates the minimum 10-car stack plus an additional 7 to 8 cars needed. At our free key fast service, we will ensure a 30-second or less turnaround time for our customers is to be noted, and similar to Jimmy John's, like the location off Van Highway, the typical stack during peak is 6 cars. Additionally, the applicant states that the walkable site will allow patrons to grab a bite to eat and support the surrounding businesses on Polly Road. Our design will be in compliance with the provisions set forth by the committee, and we will continue to work closely with Kristen Crane. Our location will promote rethink Polly Road by being pedestrian friendly. Therefore, the vehicular traffic and pedestrian movement on adjacent roads should not be hindered or impeded. The board may approve with conditions or deny this case if all findings of fact and with additional information is deemed necessary to make an informed decision.
Thank you, Ms. Crane. So it will be a right turn in, right turn out only.
Unless they want to turn left. Median stops. That's what I'm struggling.
There's no, right, there's no.
I went today, there's a cement median. And assuming I'm driving towards the connector, there's a cement, and is this okay to talk about this now?
She has a picture of it, just on
But pull the picture, please. The cement median stops, so I could turn left if I felt it.
Take the first one, Kristen.
See, it stops
The
like just a
median
little bit.
runs right across Chase Bank, where Chase Bank is, and then it stops.
DOT required James Bank to extend that median so they couldn't turn left. They would probably do the same when the application goes through,
Probably.
knowing it's,
Does DOT require it?
yeah.
Can I ask, will you please remind me why fast food needs special exception and would it need one without the road?
Drive-through don't necessarily make an impact on fast food restaurants. So it's just the nature of the business that makes it a fast food, and that's required, a special exception is required in commercial zone district. And also in the overlay.
Chris and I have questions, now to sort of telegraph to the applicant what I might be asking them. I understand, and I'll tell you what's really holding me up right now is criteria F, vehicular traffic. And can you go to the one with the 2 yellow dots on it? This is just from Google Earth, and I tried to put what I thought were yellow dots on what I think the existing curb cuts are. I'm going to be interested to know where the applicant plans on placing their curb cut. And
So they're losing one curb cut. And and the second one is further. Like the second one that exists with the car. Is the way I look at it.
it's further towards the, can you go back on the overhead? With the dots, with the pins. And the reason I'm saying this is I never underestimate the recklessness of South Carolina drivers. And my concern is people coming from Folly Beach to Charleston, in other words, from the bottom to the top. I understand there are double yellow lines there. I mean, I really understand that. But if you ever pull into Hyams, you're gonna cross and you're gonna hang in that median right to the top to wait for those cars to pass and you're going to turn. My concern right now is these people that are coming from Folly Beach to Charleston, they see Jimmy John's and that attempt to make a left-hand turn.
I'm assuming DOT is going to request or make the medians all the way down so that left turn is not possible, but if not, you all add that in the condition. That's really.
Well, we can't make the
And I guess that's sort of my question. SCDOT is going to spend all of that money just because we make a zoning decision?
No, DOT is not going to spend that money.
Who is?
Whoever puts in the median probably, yeah, and that's what Chase.
Oh, okay, I understand. Okay, that makes sense to me. So that can be a condition that we impose.
But DOT doesn't always listen to us, Dave.
I've heard that. I've heard that. All right, I think that's all I have, and thank you, that took care of that concern.
Any other questions for Ms. Crane?
I'm sorry. A conforming use, what are the estimated vehicles going in and out per hour per day? I can't remember what the term is.
Like if that was a dress shop.
It's not velocity, what is it?
car trips, yeah.
Yeah, car trips. Because I understand that a conforming use we cannot control. And a conforming use is by definition still going to increase traffic. I understand that. And that's not something that we can base a denial on. What we have to consider is if we are considering a denial, any increase above and beyond a conforming use. So I'm trying to figure out, a non-conforming use, what it would do, the difference between a non-conforming and conforming use. What is the vehicular traffic rate or traffic trips for a conforming?
I'm not, that's, we don't
Yeah, well, we did it 3 months ago. I just couldn't remember.
Yeah, they're so low that they don't require a traffic study. So I'm not really sure.
Thank you.
So would like an Applebee's. Maybe that's something like that, Applebee's would not require. I mean,
It-
would not require.
It depends on, I don't know what Applebee's business plan is and how they.
I mean, very. So go back to
Oh.
the restaurant, put it back there. I was just.
Right. Right. Mhm. So a restaurant is, nothing's.
Okay, no other questions for Kristen? Thank you, Ms. Frame. This time I would like to call the applicant or applicants to please come up to the mic and speak clearly and loudly, and you have 10 minutes.
Awesome. Thank you, Chairperson Lyon and the board for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Kevin Kaiser. I live full time at 2224 Polly Road, 29412. We come today seeking the special exception for our project at 889 Polly Road. As you heard from Kristen, we are looking to locate our Jimmy John's sandwich shop at this address. We are personally purchasing the property from JD Cox, who would like to set down our roots at this location. As you look at the special exception, it's important to remember that you're not approving a corporate run franchise. You're approving a local, family-owned small business. Ooh, got teared up there. My wife and I live 4.8 miles down the road from this location, going on 8 years, and watched the great updates and growth due to Rethink Polly Road. I want to take you back in time for a second. It's July 2019. My wife and I driving down Folly Road, coming off the connector, heading towards Folly Road after a very long road trip from New York. Realized we were very hungry, and when we got home, we definitely did not want to cook. As we were both looking at each other, we both decided we both wanted a cold stub. We didn't want to get out of the car, and we just wanted to get through a drive-through and get home as quickly as possible. Honestly, we both said we wished there was a Jimmy John's drive-through so we could get home quickly. But there was no such option on Folly Road. This lack of food options spawned our vision to put a freaky fast Jimmy John's here on Folly Road. Diligently over the last 4 years, we've been looking for a location to invest in that is sustainable and makes sense for our community. We have scoped out a number of properties and explored a bunch of different avenues, and we found that 889 Folly was the best possible option. James Island is a place where we want to raise our children, send them to school, and a place where we continue to shop and frequent. We want to continue to improve and get back to this community that we call home. For those of you that are unfamiliar with Jimmy John's, we are a freaky fast sandwich shop. At our store, we make it work to make sandwiches in under 30 seconds. We sell an easy to order variety of sandwich, a bag of chips, a cookie, a pickle, or a drink. We cater to all types of sandwich lovers, from my wife, the vegan, who loves the number 6 veggie, our friend, the mom, who knows their child won't eat an entire sandwich, so they enjoy the Little John. And finally, our gluten-free, dairy-free friend who always goes for the onion with no cheese. We want people to be able to come to our shop, order, hang out. If you're having a party, we can cater. If you're in a hurry, use our friendly app and breeze through our freaky fast drive-through. The beauty of it all is that there is no on-demand cooking. Everything is already freshly prepared and supports a freaky fast turnaround time. In our request for the special exception, I want the board to note that we had 91 signatures and 5 emails come from local residents and businesses in support of our campaign. In fact, I personally walked door to door around the area of 889 and noticed that there was not one single objection to the addition of their area. In fact, it was the complete opposite. And I want to read some comments to y'all that I heard while I was walking around talking to these great people. This is a great addition since we have such limited options to run out and get lunch. Heck yeah, we need that. We need a fast option for lunch because I only have 30 minutes. Great, now I can walk to a place that I actually want to go to. I would love to stop there on my way home and get a quick, more cost-effective, healthier option for our kids. It's with these signatures that further spoke to us that this was the right location and option for James Island residents. Being local, we are very invested in our community and have become greatly intertwined with many local businesses and people. The first year here in Charleston, we started volunteering and fostering at pet helpers. I personally worked at Warrior Surf as a coach and volunteered for years at the South Carolina Aquarium. As you can see, community service is very important to us. We plan to donate a portion of our profits and $23 back into the community. We want to continue to invest in organizations as well as our local school sports, arts, and STEM program. It's important for us to be able to give back to the communities that we live in, and that has given us so much. Now, finally, I want to address some of the criteria related to our special exception. Let's first look at criteria A. It talks about diversity on the island. From the connector until the time I hit my front door, I passed 6 car washes, 8 nail salons, and 7 gas stations. And I do not pass a single drive-through sandwich shop. This project would support the island's needs for additional diversity of a quick, family-friendly, beach-friendly drive-through sandwich shop. We all know that throwing a sub in the cooler is the best option when hitting the beach. Second, criterion B and C talk about the beautification and use of our property. Let me assure you, we are not putting up a loud red and black Jimmy John's. We plan to build them in the manner that suits our island vibe and work closely with the planning commission. The current lot, as you know, has an existing car wash and will replace with our new integrated store. We'll update the existing lot by adding additional trees, plantings, and flowers that will complement the addition of our family-friendly seating on our patio, our pedestrian-friendly walkway, and bike lane. I want our location to continue to beautify this island. Lastly, I want to address exception F, which is traffic. We are very focused on making sure safety is a core value at our location. DOT has confirmed with us that we will have a right turn in and right turn out only entrance at our location. We'll also be installing additional curbing to the median to not make that left-hand turn possible. This will increase the safety of our location and deter anyone from entering on the opposite side of Valley Road. We also want to shed some light on how Jimmy John operates its drive-through and how it will really work on Valley Road. Right now, our hours of operations are planned from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. And to give you some perspective, our volume from a national average is 96 cars per day over the course of 11 hours of operation. This car total includes both drive-through and in-store shoppers. During our peak hours at Jimmy John's will be 11 to 1. From the hours of 11 to 1, our peak car total will be 18, again, drive-through and in-store. That is 1 car every 3 minutes and 20 seconds. As I mentioned before, we make our sandwiches freaky fast in under 30 seconds. And because of this, it promotes our drive-through to have a national average of our demographic of 3 minutes and 45 seconds. Meaning we have about a 25-second overlap per car during our peak time. We are very, very sensitive to our drive-through. As you can see in our drawing, and as Kristen mentioned, our current setup is a minimum of a 10-car stack with 7 cars that would back us up to close to the road. This brings in the question that I'm sure you're all asking, is that enough? Well, as I mentioned in my letter of intent, I personally spent time at the West Lashley location on Savannah Highway. And I'll tell you, their location is a very busy location. And during my time there, we noticed that there's no more than a 6-car stack at their peak. And that 6-car stack is from their order window out back. All this to say, we also have an additional 16 parking spaces on our lots to support our in-shop customers, our in-store shoppers. And to also mention that our volume is not that of our competitors. Our times tend to be much quicker due to our freaky fast sandwich making process. All right, to wrap all this up, I traveled up and down Valley Road 6 times yesterday. Okay, it confirmed for me that I want to make sure our shop is one of those places on James Island people want to go, looks great, is integrated into our community, and gives back for many more years to come. We understand all the discussion about rethinking Valley Road, and we want to be on the side that improves Valley Road and helps it continue to prosper. We want our site to be accessible for all and believe our plan and our drive-through will continue to accommodate the community and make life easier for all that live on the island. We want to create jobs for the island, a safe workplace, an opportunity for growth and team environment. One of our top items in our business plan, aside from community, is people. We want to ensure our customer service is top notch and truly reflect what this island means. As we move forward in discussion, just remember, it'll be me making your sandwich as freaky fast as possible. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your presentation. I'll open it up to the board for questions. I guess I'll start. How many per day did you say? 90, how many?
96 cars per day,
96 cars
Yep.
per day.
based on an 11-hour operation schedule.
And your peak times,
By lunch, 11 to 1.
you expect 18 per hour during
That's
that
the
time?
national average of 8. Correct.
Okay.
And that's again, both in shoppers and drivers. That number of 18 cars.
And you are planning to extend that median that we were discussing with Ms. Crane?
So we've been talking to DOT and we heard this morning, actually, which is very timely, that the plan that you see here actually indicates a straight in and a right turn out. We will be making that a right turn in, right turn out only. And that design will be a little different, it's called chicken bone or chicken wing or something of that nature, excuse me, I'm not an architect. And then that median will have to be extended past our entrance to prevent anybody from making that left turn. I think you all know making that left turn is not ideal. We didn't want that to be a thing for our drivers, when our customers.
Any, Ms. Hip?
You may not know the answer, I did a little bit of Google searching.
Okay.
How many Jimmy John's are in the South County area?
If I'm not mistaken, there's 5, one downtown, one in West Ashley. Unfortunately, I believe the North Charleston one's closing and they're putting one in Somerville. Monk Corner.
I did my little Google research and came up with 4.
Okay,
That was about right.
yeah, I
Um,
wasn't counting them.
I don't think I did, no, I think, anyway, I came up 4 was my number and only 2 of them have drive-through. So what would condition you to pick drive-through versus not, like, why do they don't have drive-through? Like, why could they not just go inside?
Are you asking, sorry, just to clarify, are
Why-
you asking why we need a drive?
Yeah, I guess, sorry.
Oh, yeah, so from a financial perspective, like I mentioned, we are purchasing this from ourselves. The financial implication of the drive-through is much more lucrative to us to have that drive-through, and unfortunately, if we are not allowed to drive-through, we cannot go through with this project.
Do you own it? You don't own any of these other ones?
That's right.
Sorry, and do you have Uber Eats and all the things?
From a delivery perspective, we actually use in-house drivers right now, so
Okay.
typically we have about 2 in-house delivery drivers on staff at any point.
Okay, and so now that takes me to your employees. On, I guess, during your 11 to 1 hour, how many employees, including those drivers, would be present?
We don't currently have a staffing plan yet,
Okay.
but if I to compare to other stores, somewhere in the nature of 4
4 or 5?
4 or
and
5.
They each have a car?
Again, for the people that would work at our store, we do target a lot of kids at high school level.
Okay.
So a lot of them probably don't have a car, so I guess I can't answer 100%.
Should we just assume that those 4 or 5 people are each gonna have a car? Taking up some of these spots, that's my question, that's my angle, I'm sorry, just clarify that.
Understood, potentially, transportation, this day and age is all over the map.
Yeah.
Especially since we're gonna really try to focus on our local community, being able to ride a bike over here. Take an Uber, take the public transportation, all of those kind of options are in play, so I don't know exactly how many cars our people would have here.
Are you able to tell me approximately how many tables would be inside?
As of right now, we're going to keep the inside pretty low key. Obviously, we're in South Carolina. I love the outside as much as possible. We haven't moved forward with our inside plan yet. We want to go through this first. The West Ashley store has, I think, 7 or 8 booths, but we'd be much smaller than that. Our footprint is probably gonna be around 11.
You're assuming they're not gonna stay.
What?
You're assuming that the customer's not gonna stay.
Potentially, and if they do, it's probably a low percentage, or they'll go sit outside.
Okay. That's it for me.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hip. Ms. Fabry, do you want to go next?
Sure. You cited 96 cars as the national average for your entire open to close.
Correct.
And just out of curiosity, how many cars does the West Ashley drive-through do during a day or peak hours? Do you know that?
I don't know it from a continuation perspective, but the time that I've spent there, if I remember correctly, their total cars during their peak was, I think it was 38 maybe total while I was there for 2 hours during 11 to 1, 11:30 to 1.
Because I'm I mean, you guys seem like you're more focused on wanting to keep the drive-through kind of the mainstay of your business as opposed to in seating, so I would assume your average would be higher for drive-through than West Ashley or the national average because of your nature of your location.
I don't know, to be honest with you. Again, sitting at the West Ashley location, they had a bunch of people that still came in and sat, at their benches and booths, still pushed, a good amount of people through their drive-through. So I don't know. I can't really plan on, how people are going to react, if they're going to come and stay. Again, we're going to make a beautiful patio out there. So if people want to come and sit, I'd love that. As well, too.
The reason why I'm asking is
Yeah.
because we have a threshold for a traffic study in our ordinance, and I just want to make sure that, like Ms. Green said, that you're well below that threshold.
That makes sense.
Which is 100.
Mhm. And it looks like just from everything on the site plan that you've kind of ticked all the boxes to be in compliance with the overlay. As far as the bike ped requirements. So that's really all I have.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Savage.
Thank you. I'm familiar with your product and I'm a fan. My office staff has you on speed dial.
Wonderful.
First of all, it was a very good presentation and very knowledgeable presentation. I can only speak for myself, but I thought your responses were forthcoming. I didn't get any sense that you were trying to shade anything. As I came in here, I had no problems with criteria A, C, D, and E. And actually, I think that you don't have to look that up. And actually, I think your plan would really improve this piece of property. Is your purchase contingent upon approval?
Yes, that's correct.
Now, I'm going to ask you some questions, and I'm not really prying, but you have to understand, if we make a special exception for this, it's grandfathered in,
Sure.
right? And if you all decide to go in a different direction, then there's nothing that we can do. What will you be doing? In other words, do you have an occupation? Do you have occupations? I know that you both say that you plan on being on-site owners, and I think that's the best way to do it. Tell me about yourself. What do you do?
Sure. I own a consulting company, and we do training and development, learning and development. I'm a leadership coach by trade and environmental health and safety trainer as well. So our plans for Jimmy John's are for us to work in our store. I have a very, very flexible schedule. I have global clients that's kind of meet at different times. So for me, like I said in my last statement, I will be the one that's there making your sandwich. Just like Tony is downtown and Chelsea is.
And your wife?
My wife does have a current job, but she will also be in the store with me. I think that's going to be a good thing for us, right? Making sandwiches.
And in addition to your purchase of the property, you got skin in the game in the purchase.
Of course,
I take it there's a franchise fee that you have to pay.
we've already paid that, correct?
You have paid it. To the extent that whatever store that you decide, let's say that you decide that's not for you, where does that franchise? Who gets the franchise? Does it just die with you, or does the franchisor repurchase it?
Oh, wow, there's a lot of options that could happen.
Well,
here.
I don't need it all. I just want to make sure you're having skin in the game.
Oh, 100%. Like I said, Mr. Savage, we live down the road. I want this to be kind of like JD. I want this to be our retirement plan. I love the Jimmy John sandwich. I love working in the store, being there. So we signed a 10-year franchise agreement. And my wife and I have no plans to break that.
Okay.
If not, actually currently extended after that.
So what happens if you don't get your variance?
If we don't get our variance, this property deal itself would fall through. And for us, since we have franchise rights to James Island, we would have to find another location.
That's a great question. All right, the only thing that I really had concern with tonight was traffic for Evan, and you understood why, and I think you answered it. You understand SCDOT says that you have to extend the median, what, past your entrance?
That's correct.
Good.
And to be honest with you, Mr. Savage, we were happy that they kind of subbed that and agreed with us in the first place. I hate taking a left on Valley Road. It scares me, so I'm there with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Further questions?
I think we're all questioned out at the moment, so
Thank
thank
you.
you very much.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Looks like we have a lot of people present tonight. Who would like to start speaking for the applicant? I've got a hand in the back and you can go second.
I'll speak first. I'm just here.
You need to please come up and speak into the mic clearly. And I need your name and your address, and then you have 2 minutes, please.
Yes, thank you. Kyle Walker, 1755 Central Park Road. I just took some quick notes just in case you all did call me back here. I'm here just to speak on behalf of just knowing those two and the quality of them. I've been a James Island resident for 20 years now, a local business owner for 10 years. Before the 10 years, I was in the food and beverage industry that they're getting into. So I feel like I'm well versed in that. My business partner was actually the president of the Restaurant Association in Charleston years ago. I volunteer at the local elementary school along with James Island Outreach. So I'm very passionate about our city, our island of James. So with these two, I've known them for about 8 years now. They're incredible. They're truly, truly talented people. Their hearts are as big as anybody that I know. And I'm gonna get choked up just talking about them. But they're incredible people. The business acumen too, on what they bring to the table, I think is an elevated acumen on what they know, what their knowledge, what they're gonna bring is, especially being local business owners and just a husband and wife team that can just come in and just pardon it, but just like really just crush it. I know they're gonna be good, and that's all I have.
Thank you.
Yep.
And the lady at the front had her hand up next. If you would please come up and do the same.
Hi, my name is Katie Frederick. I live at 490 Woodland Shores Road. I know Kevin and Callie 3 different ways, really. I've been friends with them for about a decade. Kevin is actually kind of a business partner of mine. He hosts, I own a social sports club called Chucktown Social, and he hosts the Wednesday night cornhole league at Bohemian Bowl, which is located at 1531 Folly Road. It's another Folly Road connection here. So he's hosted for that league for about 7 years, and about 1.5 years ago, they approached me because I'm also a real estate agent. I sell residential and commercial real estate. So I'm involved in this transaction, so I have a little skin in the game. But I am looking forward to, as a resident of James Island, being able to swing on by. I just got a puppy, so I don't want to get out and leave him in the car by himself. Be great to go through the drive-through, head on down to the beach, take him for a walk, have a sandwich. And as a commercial real estate agent, I see all kinds of things. I see landlord-tenant relationships, and just like homeowners versus tenant-landlord relationships, we usually find that an owner-occupant is definitely the best type of and most responsible owner of property. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Frederick. Who would like to come up next speaking for the applicant? Yes, sir.
Thank you for letting us come tonight. My name is J.D. Cox. I am a property owner, and I've had that car wash for 35 years, but I'm very familiar with James Island, and James Island is a special place. And before that, I was a Piggly Wiggly. I had a Piggly Wiggly in James Island Shopping Center for 20 years. And I've always tried to be a good merchant. But at some point in time, everything comes to an end. And that car wash is dated as we speak. I know James Island would like to see something new and fresh at that location. And I consider that the center of James Island. Maybe it's not, but I always thought that intersection at Camp Road and Folly Road was the center of James Island. And lately, we have had a lot of car washes come on Polly Road. And I know y'all would like to see something fresh and new in that location. And I just think this is a perfect fit for that location. And I'd like for y'all to consider the project we presented to you tonight. And like I say, I'd like to see something fresh there. We got a new drugstore right around the corner, which is Walgreens, and that's a beautiful building set back there. And we've got a new bank across the street, and that's an asset, I think, on that corner. And I think this would complement what we're doing there now. Any questions?
Thank you so much,
Thank
Mr. Cox. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Good evening, my name is Scott Peavy. I'm a James Island resident since 2004 with my wife Tara and 3 kids. I'm also a commercial real estate broker with NAI Charleston. And I've had the pleasure to represent Mr. Cox in listing and marketing this property over the last several years. He has operated a car wash for 35 years, as he mentioned. My time over the last couple of years, I've seen firsthand the pride and care he takes into it. It is an old building, but if you've been there, you see that it's kept clean. He treats his customers right. If the machine needs $1, he's there to hand you $2 himself. He takes that pride of ownership there. He's old school, cares about the community, and supports his livelihood. Today's about the future. We've all been here for a while. We've seen the progress, good or bad, on the island, and we want to look forward. So as residents, we have to face a couple things. We have to face that the current building on the property is old, and frankly, it's not that attractive. We have to ask, do we really want to continue with 2 car washes operating literally side by side for a number of years to come, in addition to the other 6 car washes with the refuel tunnel that we just built a couple weeks ago as well. Perhaps most importantly, we have to look at what the alternative options for the site are. I've had this property listed for a number of years, so I've seen firsthand the demand that this site has brought. We have not been suffering for demand. We have had a lot of interest in this property all across the board, and car washes has been very heavy interest in the site. And it's my understanding for the zoning code, the car wash would come in and it would not require BZA approval, only site design approval. So you're looking at potentially another lifetime or generation of that to continue. So the seller has been very discerning in my experience with who he's entertained to buy the property. And it is very comforting to him, and it should also be comforting to us that these buyers are local, they're going to stay local, and they're going to operate their business on the island. I do stand to gain from the transaction. I am a broker in the transaction, but today I come to you as a fellow resident of the island and a professional in the industry, hoping to lend some valuable perspective.
Great, thank you so
Thank you.
much. Anyone else wishing to speak for the applicant in support? Okay. And is there anyone here tonight wishing to speak in opposition to this request? Yes, please come up, and if you would clearly state your name and address, and you have 2 minutes as well.
All right, here we go. My name is Katie Powers. I'm a resident of 880 West Madison, who lives in the property directly behind the car. That photo that was in the Photoshop, that's that fence, that was where our property starts. My husband is Philip Powers, he's here. I actually worked with Callie a while ago, and I can speak for their wonderful human-esque everything. They're wonderful people. Our concern is less about the Jimmy John's business and more about the property and the permanence, like you were saying, Mr. Savage, about when you okay a drive-through, when you okay this, heaven forbid it doesn't work out, what happens next? And that's our property that is butting up against our property. We live there with our 2-week-old son and our dog Odin. So what I wanted to address when I looked through everything was the main thing we want to talk about is that back fence. I know we've done the site plan is great, it fits things in, but what I do think needs to be done and what I'm asking is similar to what Ms. Raymond was talking about earlier about imposing conditions of that with DOT. We would like to impose conditions of the fence, landscaping, and lighting behind the building.
We are asking you to impose conditions of an 8-foot wall, not a fence. We operate restaurants. I'm the culinary operations manager for the neighborhood dining room. Our restaurants include Tuscany, Oyster House, and Dinero. My husband is the owner and the culinary director of Lewis Barbecue and Rancho Lewis and Lewis Barbecue in Greenville. We definitely understand how restaurants work. We definitely understand that little critters go places even if you're on the cleanest of spots. So we would really like to push to impose a wall, whether it's cinder block, brick, stone, an 8-foot something behind their property to really make it A, look nice, like we're talking about, improve the community, because the fence looks terrible and the trees look pretty terrible. We would love to have it be an actual wall. We would also like to impose the landscaping. When you look at the site plan, the landscaping is not defined. It's just landscaping at this point. Maybe you do have a more specific plan, but we would like to impose 10 to 12 foot bushes. If you look behind Chick-fil-A, which butts up against one of our neighbors' properties, they have evergreen 12-foot bushes. Whether it's holly or some sort of ficus, I don't, we don't talk to people at times. You know what I'm saying, though? We just need to make sure that that property line that they're putting there, we would, if it's gonna be a drive-through, the traffic to you, but we would like to impose conditions of the fence, landscaping, and lights. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Anyone else here tonight wishing to speak in opposition? At this time, I'll call the applicant. But before I call the applicant, I would also like to mention, I actually counted 6 letters in support of the application. I was a little lighter on the petition numbers. I had 87 in what we were furnished, but it was pretty close to what you had stated. I believe you had stated 92, 91.
I had
And then
91.
you had 91. Maybe
She
I
said some this morning.
maybe I miscounted. It's possible. It's been a day.
91 petitions and 6 letters.
So 91 petition signatures on the petition. Thank you for confirming that, Corey. And then 6 letters in support. We also did have 2 letters against, mainly addressing traffic and yet another fast food, which they're all part of the record, and you can certainly view those. So at this time, I would like to call you back up, and you have 2 minutes to rebut or address your opposition.
So first off, again, thank you for the clarification on the petition side of things. I'm glad that we had more letters than I originally thought. One thing to address, I don't know if this can be on the record, but just for me, I would like to try to own this property longer than maybe. So that's one of my goals. Humor comes across well. From my perspective, just to address the concerns of our neighbors behind us, we definitely want to be neighborly. We live near a business where we are as well too. We want to be the best stewards of the community as possible. Since we have a relationship with the people that came up and spoke in opposition, love to be able to sit down with you and discuss, what would potentially work, as well as working with Kristen from the planning commission perspective on what would need to be done in that back section there, so that we don't cause any discomfort to those neighbors around. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Can I ask a question?
Not at this point. So at this time, I close the hearing to the public. And in order for discussion, we need a motion from the board. I will make a motion to approve with conditions. And one condition would be to extend the median so there's no left turn. Another condition would be a solid 8-foot acoustablock type material that Roy may remember from some past cases. And you all may as well, just from being involved. That would be not only solid, but noise protective. And then 8-foot landscape buffers as well as lighting that is confined to the commercial property itself. Do you want me to repeat those, Ms. Simmons?
I think I've got it.
Okay, great, and hopefully we have it all on tape. So those are the 3 conditions that, well, actually, that's 4 conditions, counting the extended median, that I would attach to approval, if anyone is so inclined to second, just for the purpose of discussion. Second by Mr. Savage. And now we can have discussion. We can amend the conditions if we do choose to move forward with an approval or deferment or denial, with, you know, whatever y'all we feel comfortable with the criteria.
I had the question about the 8-foot fence. And could we approve of it? Or is that
8 foot is the max.
the max? Okay. And that material,
Well, that was hard to get that exact, because that's a brand name,
Sure.
a brand name, so.
Which is why I said acoustic block type material. I want something for sound.
Previously, the condition was sound attenuating.
okay.
We
And
can,
like it doesn't have to be wood. Like,
right.
It could,
Yeah.
it
I'm
doesn't
not
know.
sure. The acoustic block is like something you put on top of, specifically for noise.
Okay.
I just have concerns because if for some reason, the applicant does decide to move closer to family because of extenuating circumstances, and then this approval goes with the property forever and ever, which you made mention of, and so then there's fast food with the drive-through and, who knows what can happen.
That is anything,
Um,
accepted as the fast food.
I'm sorry?
Could you attach the,
I don't know, can we do that?
can you attach the?
Can.
Or
Can we
could
do
you
that?
could you attach the number of cars? To, you couldn't, if you say under the 100 threshold, that Amy said that's in our.
It's in the ordinance, if it's 100, they have to have a traffic study.
Well, but then if they're already there, so what?
Right.
I mean, so what we're doing is not really talking about permitting Jimmy John's, we're talking about permitting McDonald's or KFC or whoever,
They could become,
unfortunately, but go ahead.
they could become a public nuisance if they exceeded the number of car cuts, which would
Correct.
create a problem. So it's not without,
Which-
you're not without recourse if it got out of control.
That's not us. That would be a court.
That's not you, no.
Right.
That would be code enforcement,
Yeah.
I'm assuming.
Yeah,
and
I'm just saying-
Law enforcement.
The town's not without recourse should it become a public nuisance. I don't think, I'd have to really look at whether you could
Make the
make
condition. that
the
it
condition
be-
last
Jimmy
only
John's.
during a particular ownership by a particular entity. I don't know the answer to that in terms of a unreasonable restraint on,
Yeah, how do you sell?
Right.
how do you
yeah,
sell-
on transferability.
Yes, yeah.
I don't know that we could do that.
I understand what you're trying to achieve.
Oh, I didn't say make that a condition. I think Kristen mentioned it. I'm just asking.
I think we have to think of all the conditions
Yes.
we would put on it if it were a Chick-fil-A or a McDonald's. or-
Yes, exactly, which is the sound barrier, the lights, the median, and if we can think of any more,
Yeah,
because we
what-
know what we've been through the last 6 months with these.
What are the odor abatement?
Jimmy John's doesn't need it because they
No,
don't
no, no.
cook, right?
Right.
But for everybody else,
I
right?
don't know what the terminology is for the odor abatement or whatever it is.
Well, they don't, but.
But if they left and a
but,
KFC
vaccines
came
or
in,
Whatever would have their grease cut.
right? I don't know how you would address that. We never got that far with the others. Chick-fil-A was already there and, you know, KFC didn't get approved because it didn't meet the criteria. So, you know, I know traffic is a concern. That's what the 2 letters said, but it apparently does not exceed the threshold to warrant a traffic study. Is that what I'm understanding?
It was 100, so barely, I mean,
100 per peak hour.
per peak hour.
Oh, okay. So that's
100
96
per
for the
peak
whole-
hour, so it is well below that then,
that 96
That's for Jimmy John's.
for Jimmy John's.
Now,
yes.
what is it? Do we know what it is for McDonald's or Hardee's or anything else?
No, they would have to tell us.
They would have to tell us, but KFC would be more.
Well, how would that work?
right?
And
I'm asking you.
I'm not, I don't.
28 cars. They had.
Yeah, good for
They
you.
had a 20. And it was a 2.5 minute.
It wasn't whatever KFC was, it didn't trip the requirement for traffic study.
Okay.
Something else to consider, but now that we're bringing up KFC, is hours of delivery for their trucks. And as well as dumpster pickup. And I don't know if that's in the town ordinance, but like, we don't want a semi pulling in at 10:30 at night to offload product. So if we can, are we able to stipulate, you know, between hours of operation or from 8 AM to 10 PM for dumpster pickup and delivery, product delivery? Because I'm assuming there's a big semi that comes and drops your stuff off or some sort of, if you're not making it in-house, then it's,
Or there might be from McDonald's.
yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem.
I don't
if
have
you
a problem with it, do y'all?
Yeah. aside from-
It's just for minute.
Aside from the Cisco truck, which would be an 18-wheeler, everything else is a box truck, which would come on site and deliver directly to us. And we've been in contact with our partner next door at the Super Suds to see if we can do a joint parking arrangement with them to get the 18-wheeler to park on their site and deliver stuff to us, so it's not on the median, because I've seen those semis on the median, it's not great, so we want to
Right.
try to prevent that as much as possible.
Right.
Same thing with us. Sorry, same thing with our hours of delivery. I know we have some really good contacts with Cisco and will be local produce, so like Limehouse in terms of when they actually can deliver their products. The West Ashley store has actually been a really big help in terms of understanding how that process works.
Right, they usually come on breakfast hours anyway.
Just like to be mindful of the fact that you back up to a neighborhood.
Of course, yeah.
Residential area.
100%. Yeah, same thing with the dumpster. I don't know how much control we have, but I'd love to be able to tell them not to come at ungodly hours.
Well, I feel like it's a business. What?
I hope so.
Did you have to?
That would be
Yeah,
great.
I think that
Sure.
you just tell them.
And your hours of operation again, or
Are most likely going to be 10 to 9. As of right now, they're 10. Excuse me, I should get that.
So you'll be out by 10 at night, like what do you think it's close to, 30 minutes? Hour?
Yeah, probably by the time we clean and get out. just more than that, probably. In the last hour of business, there's nobody there anyway,
Yeah.
so if we start cleaning up pretty early. Or would start cleaning.
So can you read what the proposed recommendations were? I've sort of lost track. I knew what your 4 were, and I didn't have any objection to your 4. Did you write down any other ones for us to say?
Well, I wrote down odor abatement, is that a thing?
Well, I don't know what the term is or how you do that if we were looking at a
what did, I'm sorry.
Odor abatement.
odor abatement.
Odor abatement.
But I don't know
You know,
what that would be.
it's more of a question than saying.
Oh, I know, it was a good one.
Well, I think what else we've talked about is deliveries, hours of operation, noise and smell. Those, not so much noise and smell and hours of operation for these guys, but if it goes with the land use going forward, I mean, that's.
So could you attach delivery to happen during business
could.
hours? We could dictate what.
Yes,
business
we can
hours
make
are.
that as a
could.
condition. We have in the past. We've made conditions in the past as to noise, no outside music, those type of things we've done with bars and restaurants and
No,
so
that's
forth.
what
Which, probably isn't an issue for them.
Hours of operation.
And we have for hours of operation as well.
Because it could be like a 24-hour something.
That's true.
The Dunkin' Donuts goes in and then all
Yeah.
of a sudden they open at 5:30 or 5 or whatever time they start.
Because it does back up to a residential.
So I think if we could attach the hours, assuming that it's always gonna be Jimmy John's in that store.
Then they would have to ask for a variance if they wanted to change it.
To change that.
Okay,
Right.
So hours of operation.
and yeah, that's hours of operation of when the dishwasher comes to start doing all, like the minute they.
Well, I don't
walk in
think
the
we can
door.
dictate when their staff leaves at
What you
night.
need is,
It's
if they're
every-
gonna open at
Yeah.
9, you need to give them some leeway
Yeah.
to get their people in there to
Right.
get things set
Yeah.
up.
Do we need to dictate that?
I don't think we can dictate when their
No.
staff comes, but I think we can dictate hours of operation and that, we could say hours of operation, say.
Well, I think if you say 10, then you're gonna eliminate the potential of breakfast being an issue.
Which would eliminate potential fast food restaurants that might create a huge traffic problem.
I think 10 to 9 is good.
Or 8 to 10.
8 to 10,
8
What-
and
KFC was like 9 or something, I think they were asking for.
yeah, but he said that we can't say whether or not, when they open the door, it's when they start allowing their people to start. dumping.
Right, but the point is like that, at
Sure.
8, they can pick up.
well, he
You
said
can
10 to
deliver-
10. I think 10 to 10 is a fair
If you don't want.
thing for hours of operation.
Right.
It sounds like they're gonna be closing at 9 anyway.
So that they could deliver, what
Oh,
I
you're talking
wanna
about
see
delivery,
is
not-
not have the semi show up at 6 o'clock in the morning,
They would have to do the deliveries during
business hours. So if we say they can't start until they open the door at 10, then we're kind of hamstringing the ability of the business owner
Yeah,
to get rid
Yeah.
of trash or clean up and get their
I think-
delivery.
How about 8 till 10?
8
Yeah,
to
8
10.
to 10.
I don't think 8's gonna bother her.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
that's a big
don't
difference.
think honestly you can, okay, 8 to 10,
8
Okay.
AM to 10 PM.
8 to 10,
No
no
outdoor music,
no outdoor music,
No
that's been an issue.
because it
in the
might, they
past.
might not do it, but other people might.
Right,
Yeah. Extend the median past their ingress egress.
Well, right turn in, right turn out, and the concrete median extended to, the end of property or where there's a, no, what's this thing called? This is that one.
how about concrete median extended to edge of property?
Yeah, I think that's.
Is
good.
that kind of covers it?
Yeah,
Is that what you discussed with DOT?
They said to the end of our entrance, so there is a little bit of room past our property, but. We're kind of, we really want to just eliminate that altogether, so.
Sure. Thank you, that's good to know.
But that's still good.
well, if you look at the,
Okay.
this goes back to the full median in front of Heinz, so if they ran the barrier to
Chop it.
there, then it would be the,
I put concrete median extended past entrance. Is that good with y'all?
Yeah,
Hours of operation, no outdoor music, right turn in, right turn out only, the concrete median extended past entrance. A solid noise, Kristen, help me out here, please.
attenuating.
Sound attenuation.
Noise attenuating,
Attenuating.
solid noise
Attenuating 8-foot barrier.
attenuating 8-foot barrier along the back of the property.
Yep.
And
Okay,
with the vegetation to accompany it. The lush.
With-
Is that the word?
with 8-foot landscaping,
You could just
Require that.
defer to.
You
defer
do?
to Kristen, site plan review.
Okay,
the vegetation, the vegetation,
Mhm.
8-foot,
Yeah, at its neutral, we have like. you know,
okay, that'll grow to 8 feet.
Underscore trees, everything.
I think Bo was
So-
saying- I think Bo was saying that there's a department for that.
Yeah, you can defer to
Yeah,
Kristen
defer
on
to
site
site
plan.
plan.
Now,
Okay.
we
You don't have to put in 8 feet and
Okay.
understory.
You'll be done for-
So we'll just put with vegetation according to.
It's required.
She'll ensure it's all
Required
done.
vegetation. Okay. Francis, I'll give you a copy of all this.
And lighting. Did we address
Lighting, we
We
need
have a
to.
lighting ordinance that you can't project on. Okay. They have to.
Same thing.
So we just basically need the wall, the median, the hours of operation, and outside music.
No outside music ever.
Right, that goes with the property.
If they want it, they come back and talk about it.
Well, no, I mean, I think ever.
Well, they could always,
They can always come back and
anyone could
ask.
always
again.
come back
Yeah,
for
sure.
a change.
I have a question, just speaking from past experience. Do you want to put no alcohol? They're not wanting to serve
They
alcohol,
have to come,
but
they have to come.
that would come back to us for that.
You have to come
Gotcha.
back anyway. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? I'm just trying to think out of the box, everything that could possibly come up if they end up moving back to New York or something,
No,
closer to family. Huh?
They can down.
They moved out, they came here. Good, good.
Yeah.
Anything else, y'all, that you feel like is important?
The fence that's there is not currently on the property.
I'm sorry,
The fence.
That's what the-
That's correct.
that is
So they could
ladies
do
fence
with
you
that.
spoke to.
There's an Ethernet shop there where they can't go past anyways. but,
Okay.
With all those trees. And the fence, yeah.
Well, it looks like the criteria that I had the most trouble with, which is the vehicular traffic, has been
Right.
addressed.
Mhm.
And will certainly be addressed strongly with this, so I would feel comfortable supporting this with the conditions that we've talked about, so we'll need to amend the motion. Probably the simplest way would be for me to withdraw the motion, you second the withdrawal, and then we'll just remake a new motion. So at this time, I will withdraw my motion,
Withdraw my second.
and we will make a new motion to approve the request with the following conditions. Hours of operation, 8 AM to 10 PM. No outdoor music. Right turn in, right turn out only. Concrete median extended past entrance. Coming from Folly Beach, but I think that'll be written into it. A solid noise attenuating 8-foot barrier fence along the back of the property with vegetation and lighting required as said by planning staff.
Wall.
And-
instead of fence.
Yeah, change fence to wall.
Okay, did I not say
You said
wall?
fence,
I'm
but
sorry.
She was pretty adamant she wanted a wall.
Okay, I thought I said I guess I said a solid fence. My bad.
Yeah, solid fence.
A solid wall. So solid wall. So those are the
Problem with that.
conditions.
Not exactly sure the difference, but
Well, a wall could be, a wall is anyway, it's more solid to me than a fence.
Okay, so those are the conditions. Do I have a second for further discussion?
I'll second.
Okay, seconded again on this Fabry. All right, any other discussion? Everybody good with that?
Mhm.
Okay, Ms. Simmons, if you would please take a roll call vote on this one.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
aye.
Aye. So the ayes have it. It has been approved. And everyone felt like it met the criteria. Congratulations. We are so excited to have y'all come to James Island. What a nice, great opportunity for everyone, and wish y'all a lot of success. And thank you for picking James Island. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Good luck to you. Serious.
We're very welcome. Very
Can we have extra pickles? Yeah, I'll use them for mediation. I know I will.
Saw you, that the final decision will be mailed.
But Paisan is pretty big, pretty big.
Contact them.
We use Paisan.
Questions about your approval. And we look forward to eating your signatures. When do y'all expect to be up and running?
Oh, boy, hopefully 9 months, maybe, we can get things moving and going.
Great.
We have a lot of work, yeah.
Great.
Kristen and I are gonna become best friends.
Oh, man. Right. Well,
Thank you, Mr. Fox.
Thank you.
Mr. Fox, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you for all your years.
Congratulations.
I always check it for.
Thank you for 35 years.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, then, I want something there to.
Right. We do. So thank you.
So much.
Thank you for the opportunity. You got any plans?
I'm not sure. Yeah. Well, me too. You guys. You guys. We should have a meeting. So if y'all have time, all right. Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you. No worries. Thank you so much. You can leave. Yes, no one can stay for the rest. At this time, I would like to thank the staff for their hard work. We will be back with the first case at some point, but thank y'all very much. And Ms. Francis, thank you so much. It's a lot of minutes she had to put together for us to approve this time and all your hard work. I also am very, very, very sad to re-announce, because I think everybody knows that this is Corey's last meeting. She is planning to take a step back for some just family personal reasons for a while, and you will be very, very missed. You did an excellent job tonight, like you always do, and I hope maybe you'll come serve again when your little boys grow up a little more. So we will really miss you a lot. So
In bed.
oh,
Oh,
and you don't have to leave till 8, right? Is that right? The babysitters?
I have to let her go.
Okay, hopefully
Okay.
we'll be done by then.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get you a present, but I didn't know what to get, so we'll work on that, but you're just Jimmy John's, that's right. It just-
Gift card.
And real quick, I want to mention the workshop. I know there's nothing. I'm under additional business. There's nothing in the wings for March 21st, but if the storage building comes back to us, perhaps we can meet an hour early and do our workshop then. I spoke with Jenny working with the county. She has some tips and tricks that she thought she could share with us, and we can all just kind of bring to the table anything we want to do. Plus, if we're getting a new member, we'll need to, kind of get them acclimated as well with any tips that we can help them with. Because I know when I started, it was, I just felt like I was kind of lost.
Yeah, when I hear the motion to approve, can we talk about this? The first time,
I'm sorry.
the first meeting I went to.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like, I know everybody doesn't want to do that. Why are they making the motion to approve?
I think that's one of the first things I told you.
And I mean, it's a no-brainer not to discuss a case beforehand with anyone, but I think it's good to tell people that, and the fact that we're not supposed to meet three of us together. I mean, most people don't know. So if we run into each other at Hyams, one of us needs to leave. We can't congregate, so those type of things I believe are just important to mention. So that brings us to our last case that we just finished. I brought this in to show y'all, for effect. These are the last 3 meetings that I spent hours and hours and hours and hours studying. And I know you all did the same. You probably have it on your computer, but I just thought this might be more effective. But I don't know when I've been that mad. And please stay. The meeting's not over yet. We need your help. I don't know if we need to go into executive session. We can do that, but y'all, does anybody else want to talk besides me?
I think we could go into.
Do we have executive session on the agenda?
We don't, then I'll make a motion to put it on the agenda.
I second.
Well, I think there could be generally you put that on the agenda well in advance.
We
of
didn't
the
have time.
publication.
This just happened Thursday.
Even on Thursday. I'm just telling you from a legal point of view, it happened on Thursday and today is Tuesday.
What are they?
Technically, you
Why
want
can't you
to
make
have
a
an
motion to
executive
put it
session.
on the
You
agenda?
can, okay, well,
They
let's
do
not.
it with the
You-
town all the
you-
time. We'll just.
Well,
do it in
usually,
the open
well,
meeting.
Let's just do it here.
the town has at the bottom of the town's public notice, it has, there'll be an executive session. They always put it at the end. There will be executive session to entertain any motion. And sometimes they'll write what the executive session will be about if they know in advance. So it's an issue, but if you want to go ahead, I doubt anything will ever come of it. So it's up to you.
I don't do it.
I withdraw.
Go to, you want to do executive? Okay, then I make the motion to go into executive.
I withdraw my second.
Oh, you withdraw your second. You're not
But
comfortable
Amy
doing
may
it?
want the second.
Okay. Francis, will you vote? I mean, will you do a roll call vote?
Although
Okay,
if you're going to go into executive session, you must disclose what you're going into executive session about. You
okay.
just can't say executive session.
Oh, thank you. Sorry, I'm a little
That's okay. We don't do it.
excited. I make a motion to go into executive session to discuss the cutting down of the Camp Road trees after our case, and how everybody feels about it.
Well,
Or do you want to?
I'm going to be a stickler about it because you can't just go into executive session to discuss an issue which is BZA business, because that's BZA business. If you go into executive session, it's got to be for legal advice. You don't have the privilege of executive session to discuss
We have-
matters of the BZA, just to discuss the matters of BZA. I hate to be a stickler, but that's
No,
how
we
it's written.
want to do the right thing, and Roy's not seconding it, so he
Right,
he
well,
must know
that would be
something, so.
That would be a
No.
definite problem.
Well,
Okay.
so we can go into executive session to discuss the legal issues that may have stemmed from the action taken since the last meeting.
Receive legal advice.
Oh, okay, well
Okay.
then,
We can do it that way.
okay.
David.
I have a motion if you want.
Please make the motion, David.
I have a motion to go into executive session to receive legal advice on the conducting of our meetings and the reception of evidence after we have continued a matter.
Can you repeat it and speak up? So I think so Francis can get that down in the minutes.
I make a motion that we go into executive session to seek legal advice on what type and the manner of receiving information once this board has continued a matter for a specific purpose, and our legal ability to limit being presented with evidence that we did not ask for at subsequent hearings.
Okay,
Second.
okay. Seconded by Ms. Fabry. Any discussion? Okay. Francis, will you do a roll call vote?
Commissioner Fabry. Aye. Commissioner Hicks. Aye. Vice Chair Savage.
Aye.
Commissioner Smith.
Aye.
Chairwoman aye.
Aye. Yes.
I made the motion to get legal advice because I believe that the process that we used historically to ask for a specific information, I don't know, let's say just asking for drainage information. When we resumed, we were presented with information totally different than what we requested,
Yeah,
and subsequently, that information.
I didn't think we were on Zoom.
yeah, we're on,
No, we're not on Zoom tonight.
we're on, YouTube.
Oh,
Right? You turn to YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wish, can we go back to?
Or you
another
can,
one?
go to the conference. Either
Yeah,
way,
that's
you just
what
turn
we
it
need.
on. I
We
can
need to
turn
go
it
to the
on.
conference, right?
Do you want to go to the conference?
I think we should, yeah.
Okay. We'll do that. It's unlocked. It,
You don't have one marathon. Sorry, y'all. Had a lot to talk about. No.
Kristen, do you have to turn that back on to get, for me to gavel this out? Okay. Is there any other business?
No, ma'am.
Okay, well, again, Corey, thank you so very much for your service and we will miss you and look forward to seeing you around the island. And if no one else has anything, the meeting is.
I'm going to have to think about it. I traveled conference on top of this.